This is ABTV, Animal Bites Television.
I spend 365 days a year appreciating reptiles and trying to teach people to love and tolerate them. I'm so blessed to be able to be around such incredible animals like this lavender albino reticulated python. But today is a really special day. It's actually Reptile Awareness Day, that one day of the year that we get a chance as a nation and even a world to understand and appreciate these unbelievably majestic animals. Happy Reptile Awareness Day. My name is Brian Barczyk. I'm no zoologist, just a guy with a passion for animals. And that passion often takes me on animal adventures around the world. This week, I'll be celebrating Reptile Awareness Day. You're watching Snake Bites. I'm so fortunate to spend my life around such amazing reptiles and animals. And I get to, every day, play with these guys. And it's super cool to think that today is actually, oh, he's hungry today. Come on, little buddy. There you go, get back in there. Today, we get to really celebrate these amazing animals that I'm surrounded by. I tell you, I get to come to work every single day and open up cages and just be astonished by the amazing, beautiful creatures that I'm surrounded by. But I kind of want to challenge you guys, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do today and get out there and kind of teach people. So today, my challenge to you is take one of your reptiles and educate someone on them. Show people that may not understand about reptiles how amazing they are. So are you ready to pack up a couple animals, hit the road, and see what kind of success we have? Let's do this. So when you're going to educate somebody, the biggest thing is you got to pick the right animals. I always say first you want to pick something that's really docile, doesn't move around too much because you don't want people to freak out, and then of course you want something that's going to be really beautiful. If you can have an animal that kind of visually catches someone's eye, they may be a little more interested in it, and of course you want it to be super docile, so you want it to be able to be a very handleable snake. And I always say again, something that doesn't move around too much because you don't want anything that's going to freak someone out that's not comfortable about reptiles. I think something like this blue-eyed leucistic ball python is the perfect choice because it's a ball python, so it doesn't move a lot, it's really impressive, and it's a beautiful snake, so it's definitely going to catch someone's eyes. And I might have the ability to catch them with that and then cram a bunch of education down their throat. But I usually want to take a couple animals. I'm kind of thinking the other animal that would be really good for this would probably be a blue-tongued skink because they're pretty awesome, they're unusual. So let's go find one of them. So again, a blue-tongued skink is kind of a good example because you don't want something that's too large that's going to maybe potentially scare somebody, but you want something that's cool looking and is really docile like this northern blue-tongued skink right here. I mean, it's a really cool, unusual looking animal with those short legs, very unusual head, and of course that blue tongue is something that you can usually start a conversation with. So it doesn't have to be a blue tongue, but I'm just trying to give you guys an idea of what I'm thinking when I approach someone that's not very comfortable with reptiles and the things that I can talk to them about to potentially get them interested. So I think with that ball python and a blue-tongued skink, I think we're pretty much set. We've got a couple animals. It'll give me enough chance to talk about it, answer some questions, and hopefully at the end of this, these people will be pretty excited and actually have a better understanding of what reptiles are all about. So let's go see if we can make this happen. So when I was thinking about who I was going to talk to about reptile awareness and who I could educate, I really didn't know who to call, and one of my employees loves this hookah shop that's local, and the one thing I always try to tell people is that, you know, you don't want to just show up on someone's door with some snakes and reptiles because they might completely freak out, right? So at least call ahead, talk to someone and say, hey, I'm going to come in, I'd like to do that. Make sure they're receptive to it before you just decide, you know, I'm going to show up and freak these people out, because you just never know when someone's so deathly afraid that you're actually going to hurt the cause rather than help the cause, right? So I was fortunate enough to call up there, talk to John, the owner, and although he was a little apprehensive, he was like, well, I guess I'll do it, you know, and so we're gonna see how this goes. But again, I can't stress enough that it's about education, but always be smart about your education, right? You know, don't want to just show up and freak people out, you know, check in first, make sure it's all right, and then in the end, hopefully things will go well. I'll be honest, probably more nervous about this than I am half the time when I'm dealing with other people. I hope that when I leave that John's as excited about reptiles as I am typically, and not even more freaked out. So wish me luck, and let's go do this. John, how are you?
Good.
Brian, how's it?
Brian, yeah.
Yeah, good to meet you.
Yeah,
Thank you
you
so
too,
much
man.
for letting me come in and kind of talk to you a little bit about my world, you know, and you know, basically, you know, I figured, you know, it's Reptile Awareness Day, so I spend every day of my life kind of trying to educate people about how cool animals are, and reptiles in particular. So I figured a cool environment like a hookah shop that one of my crew comes in here. I thought, what better place? So first off, John, tell me, have you had any experience with reptiles?
Not really, no, beside the zoos and...
So the other side of the glass, then.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And how do you feel about them?
I'm neutral, pretty neutral with them. I wouldn't tell you how, couldn't tell you how I feel or not feel about
Well,
them.
listen, I tell you, that's a good start, because a lot of times when I'm dealing with people, I'm really trying to educate people that are fearful of them.
Yes.
So the fact that you're neutral right off the bat is a big step for me, right?
Yes,
so,
it is.
So to let you know a little bit about me, I mean, I breed reptiles for a living. That's
Okay.
what I do,
Okay, pretty cool.
and so I'm surrounded by reptiles all my life, and of course we make the show, and we try to reach as many people as we can how cool these animals are, and so that's why I'm here. Is to try to, when I leave, I want you to go, wow, that was awesome. I want you to sit around the table tonight and tell people stories about how cool these animals are. So first off, how do you feel about holding it?
I'll give it a shot.
All right,
You're holding it. I'm
it's not
assuming
going to hurt you. This is actually an Australian blue-tongued skink. It's what they call a northern blue-tongued skink. Okay. And if you take a look, you can see that tongue is bright blue,
yes,
obviously.
It is.
And these are really cool animals, because a lot of people think reptiles are killers and stuff like that. The truth is, you know, these guys will eat cat food and dog food.
No kidding.
Wow. So that's it. You know, in the wild, they're going to forage for all kinds of stuff.
Yes,
they will
absolutely.
eat vegetation as well. They're going to eat slugs and snails and stuff like that. But so this is the first reptile you've held.
Yes, I have. When Brian first pulled out the skink, I was like, whoa, what is this thing here? Is it going to bite? Is it going to jump? Or is it just going to lay there like it is laying on Brian's hand? So I picked it up, and sure enough, it was just laying there, kind of looking around, checking its surroundings, trying to feel the texture of its skin. It was rubbery and a couple of holes in the back of the ear. It was pretty cool, sticking its tongue all the way in place.
And this particular type of lizard is obviously very placid, really great animals. And so when I do educational shows at schools and stuff, I always bring animals like this. And just like I was telling my audience, when you're dealing with someone like yourself that is the first timer with animals, you know, try to get something that's really tame and isn't going to freak you out. Because like I said, you're a little nervous, you know. So, but it's really good. Do you have any questions about this guy?
Yeah, this skin is kind of rubbery kind of skin. Is this what they all feel like, or is this particular species?
And, you know, it's great that you asked that, because, you know, really it's all educating is about trying to make people understand that some of the misnomers about animals, right? And you always hear reptiles, and snakes in particular, are slimy. And that's what they feel like right there, right?
Yes.
And what it is that they have a really shiny skin, and so when the sun hits them, they look like they're slimy, but just like you said, they're actually more of a leathery feel, like a rubbery, leathery feel. And when people feel them for the first time, they often go like, "Wow, I didn't expect that at all."
No, like not at all.
But they're really awesome animals.
Cool,
So let me ask you, John, are you ready to step up to the next thing, and maybe a snake?
Yeah, as long as you're here, I'll do it. Yeah, fine.
I tell you, man, John is a trooper. I can't believe how good he's doing, and it's really awesome. And again, I want you to, at the end here, just really appreciate reptiles and realize that maybe some of the things that, you know, you heard about them are not always the fact, you know. Now this is actually a ball python, okay? And you ready to hold it?
Yes.
Any
particular way?
Just like I'm doing right there.
Okay.
And this guy will not bite you whatsoever. Now, just to let you know, all animals can bite, but this guy is super tame. That's why I brought, it's actually a girl. It's a leucistic ball python. Now these guys, that's an adult right here. And you can let it cruise around a little bit, and, you know, just like that, you're doing great. Ball pythons are really great pet snakes from the standpoint that they're docile. This is as large as they get. So they get large, but they don't get so large that it's scary, right?
Okay.
And and you can let it go, and it'll just kind of hang on to you like it's a tree, just like that. And if you want, you can use two hands, use one hand, whatever it is. But of course, this is a color mutation. Okay, so we breed snakes to try to make them as pretty as possible, okay? So we call them paint jobs, you know, they're color mutations. And so this animal in the wild would be actually brown and black and a little bit of yellow.
So you're saying they adapt to that environment
well,
as far as color goes?
Well,
or?
color in the wild are going to adapt for camouflage, right? What we do in captivity is we're trying to breed specific colors to make them look even cooler. And I wanted to bring you something that was really neat. Now these guys nowadays aren't really super expensive, but believe it or not, the first one that came into the country about 10 or 12 years ago that was all white sold for $125,000.
Wow.
Isn't that
now
crazy?
this is what's their origin home?
These guys are from West Africa.
West Africa.
Okay, so most of the countries they're from Ghana, Togo, Benin, and you know, from a few other neighboring countries. It's an African snake,
native,
correct.
yes.
And again, you know, this is a python, and I'm sure you've heard people think about pythons. Oh, pythons are killers and stuff. This is it. This is a python. Yes, some pythons get really large.
Sure.
But they're not killers, but they get large. But most pythons are pretty small animals, just like this ball python.
Oh man, snakes. You know, you hear snakes. You know, all these things, bites and horrifying. And it's a python. And it's white. Never seen anything like that. But that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool snake to hold, and it's very, very strong. It's something I've never felt before. The strength of this body and the way it was just swirling around my hand and just can hang there and just checking out his surroundings. Very, very cool. A very nice snake there. I'm assuming it's smelling its environment with the tongue and
exactly. Yeah. So you know a little bit about
a little
reptiles.
bit here
Exactly.
and there. Yeah.
What happens is they have that forked tongue and they have what they call a Jacobson's organ, and so they go out and they taste the particles, bring them back into the Jacobson organ, and it acts as it's smelling. Exactly. They're tasting and smelling the air, and of course at the very front, see those little pits up front in the front of their mouth?
Yes.
Those are actually heat pits. So these are heavily nocturnal animals, and when they're out in the dark, they can't see as well, obviously, so those heat pits pick up thermal, kind of like the movie Predator, right? These guys are seeing in infrared, more or less, and that's the way that they reach their prey at night.
Very cool, Brian, here. This guy's just hanging out.
So I tell you, let me ask you, you know, later on when I leave and it's all over and you have all your hookah people here and you're doing your thing, what are you going to tell them?
Oh man, this is pretty cool that these animals are not, educate yourself, I'm assuming, which what I'm going to do. My perception of reptiles has totally changed. I couldn't even tell you. Before this, I would have stayed away from them like I have all my life. But right now, I wouldn't mind them. Wouldn't mind them at all. Even maybe thinking about bringing a pet home. I got two little girls, a 10-year-old and a 4-year-old. They might like it better than other pets, maybe.
It's been great, John. I tell you what, it's awesome that I was able to come in, show you a couple animals. You've done amazingly well.
Thank you.
I didn't know when I came here if you were going to scream and yell and run away or not. And guys, you know, this is the idea. You know, get in, talk to people, educate them as best as you can. And just like John here, you can see how receptive most people are if you educate them and show them really cool animals. You know, this is my challenge to you on Reptile Awareness Day. Go out there and let's build an army of reptile lovers. As you can see, educating people about these amazing creatures is so rewarding. Whether you're doing a school show, some library show, a birthday party, or just sitting around with your family members that don't understand how awesome reptiles are, just take the time to try to get people to understand that these animals are so majestic and so misunderstood. And as always, each day I'm Facebooking and tweeting my way through it. So make sure to follow me over at SnakeBytesTV or on Instagram at SnakeBytes.tv. Until next week, happy Reptile Awareness Day.
Hi, I'm Peter Birch, an Aussie bloke who loves wildlife. My respect for nature started when I was a young boy in rural New South Wales. Since then, it's exploded into an obsession. New episodes every Thursday only on AnimalBytesTV.